Hello, and it's me again. And today, what we're going to be looking at is badge making. Badge making and badge setting up. Let's say the criteria behind the badges, how they work. So, here we are on the general page of my Teaching EFL to Native Arabic Speakers course, which is it's a little ongoing project, and I'm at the stage where we're making badges uh, for a course which has not been completed. Not all the content has been produced. However, with a bit of imagination, we'll imagine that we're actually further on than we actually are. So if we have a little look at the left-hand sidebar, to the course navigation icon, and there we have badges. We're going to click there. Click. I have got a slow computer. And here are 4 badges that I have already made and set up for the 4 main sections of my course. Now, as I just said, this course it's ongoing. It's not completed. Therefore, if we look at the criteria here on the right-hand side, it's blatantly obvious, even with a glance, that the criteria for the week 1 badge is a lot more. There are more numerous items. It's a lot more complicated than the criteria for week 2, 3, and 4. And the reason for that is simply, again, we're talking about content. The content in these successive weeks is a bit on the thin side. A lot of stuff is missing. There are a lot of place markers and just sort of general ideas for how this course would be articulated. Whereas week 1, even though most of these things, strictly speaking, will probably end up being substituted with final versions, with original artifacts, original teaching materials, there's a wider variety of activities and resources there. So that's the reason why this is so full and the others are not. However, the principle was the same, and it probably works in a similar way for most people, for most courses. So you get the badge at the end of week 1 once you've fulfilled all these activities and exercises and even a quiz, for example. Then that would allow you access to week 2. Here, week 2, there are only 2 criteria listed, but normally there were a lot more, and you would have to do all of those in order to earn week 2 badge, in order to then go on to week 3 activities, and so on and so forth. So, what we're going to do, just so that I can show you, we are now going to make a different badge. We're going to make a new badge. We're going to do week 1 again, but this time I'm going to do it from scratch. And I am going to show you how to throw together a really easy but original, because we've always got the problem of licenses on the internet and the temptation to pinch other people's images may be overwhelming at times, but in actual fact, creating basic little images which you can use for badges and other things is relatively straightforward. I have no affiliation whatsoever with the graphic software Krita, but I do think it's a rather easy one to manage, to learn. It's a bit easier than things like Photoshop or even GIMP. Those are slightly more challenging. However, if you got to grips with Krita, I would imagine that GIMP and Photoshop would be that would be easier to learn if that's what you wanted to do. So I'm just going to zoom through a bit of graphics on how I create a new little badge. Okay, you ready for this? Let's go. So what we are looking at here basically is the program Krita, a really good starting point if you want to get into graphics, always handy. Now that was just a super speedy run through of how I got to this little badge, but and I will make a video tutorial which shows in depth, step by step, exactly how that's done. But that was very few, those were very few features used, very basic ones. I don't know if that came across or whether it looked confused and complicated. I swear it is not. It's basically colouring in a circle and using some of the Krita tricks to produce that outer fluffy rosette type effect and do a bit of writing. Awfully handy if you want to either adapt something you found on the internet or create your own from scratch. So like I said, I will do a video tutorial on creating very simple badges or complicated ones if you want sometime soon. But what we're going to do now is take our lovely little graphics masterpiece and use it to set up a badge in our Moodle course. So here we are, those are the ones that I've already issued. Add a new badge is here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to add a new badge. Badge details, let's call it week 1 version 2 because I had already made a week 1 badge version. Not so interested in description. Week 1 badge on completion all required activities. Okay, and then we're going to choose our file. It's already been uploaded. It should be here somewhere. Oh, it's not. Is it? It's not there. Okay, let's go grab it from my computer. And let's see. I've got it's a PNG. It's been saved as PNG, and I worked on a 500 by 500 pixel size inside the software program, but then I resized it to 56 KB. The badge has a maximum size, which I do not remember right this very moment, but you don't need a large sized image. It will look good quality even if it's fairly small because the badges aren't gigantic. So we're going to go with the small version. We've got it. Save as week 1 version 2 badge. That's its name. There's the author. Creative Commons, no commercial share alike. That means anybody who's not trying to make money off it can help themselves to it. I really don't mind. Image author's name, I'm not fussed. If it's a masterpiece, I would be worried about, but it's really not. Expiry date, no expiry. I'm just going to leave it valid forever and ever and ever. But you see, there are adjustments I can make so that it does actually run out. What I'm more interested in at this point is the criteria. So I've got to set up the criteria. So our little task today is a manual criteria. So I go to issue by role. And that means I get to choose who manually will award badges to the students. I'm just going to go with manager and teacher. I'm going to assume that if I have I have other teachers working on my course, they may have the role of non-editing teachers, which avoids anything dramatic being done to my course content without my permission or knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to stick to manager and teacher, and then I'm going to have all of the selected roles award the badge, when all of the selected roles award the badge. So fundamentally the person who has the responsibility of issuing the badges decides when all the both the people nominated here agree that it's been that the thing has been completed. If I want it less complicated, I guess I could leave it just up to the teacher. just up to the manager. Or alternatively, I can do it non-manually. I could do this whole thing non-manually, whereby if tasks have been completed, tasks which I input into the criteria here, if they've been completed, the system will automatically award the badge to my students. Description, I'm running out of imagination about what to write here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, save, and as if by magic, the badge has been created successfully, but is not available to users. You need to activate the access and confirm. Obviously, because if you start issuing badges, or a colleague starts issuing badges, or if you don't do it manually but you do it automatically, set up for an automatic issuing of badges. Once badges are being distributed to your students, you can't tamper with it. Or what do? Some have been issued, and what about the other individuals in the cohort? Do they not get the same badges? Do they not get any badges? Do they get different criteria? You don't want that to happen. So we can just have a quick look at what that looks like. As you see, we can add in messages and things like that. So these are the badges that we set up earlier, and there is the nice little badge that we set up just now. There's a bit of a close-up. You can see why I was saying a smallish format is fine. At a distance, that looks okay. It doesn't look too bad at all. Maybe bit of work on some of the colour contrast there. Not a masterpiece, as I said before, but completely original and absolutely flexible for tweaking if you do it in a graphics program. So, and that is that.